Hello, this is Faith at Faith and Books, and I thought I would do a quick video on the tag I love the book, I love the movie, which was originated by the Game of Authors YouTube channel. That booktube is even newer than mine, but I really like his content. I think we have a lot of similar tastes in books. His name is Joey. So he started this tag, and I think other people have picked up on it. I don't know. I haven't had time to watch anybody's, not very many videos right now because I'm just too busy right now, and NaNoWriMo is taking up a lot of time. So, but I thought I would quickly go through my top 10 book to movie adaptations where I love the book, but I also love the movie. And I sort of, for some reason, my mind got more rigid than the original tag because I decided I would only do movies from books. So I think Joey at Game of Authors did some plays into movies. I'm not doing that. And also I think he also included mini-series, maybe one mini-series in his. And I'm not going to do that either. I'm just doing books to actual films. And I think I only have one I loved his choices, but I think I only have one in my list that overlaps. And I'm going to number these from 10. I'm going to count down from 10 to 1, but they're not really in any particular order. Number 10 will be the one that overlaps with his, and the number 1 will be my absolute favorite adaptation of a beloved book. So number 10 is Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. But the adaptation that I love the most is Mr. Magoo's Christmas Carol. I remember watching that as a child. My father a couple of times read A Christmas Carol to us during Christmas season. And I remember as a kid watching Mr. Magoo's Christmas Carol. It came out in 1962, so I probably didn't watch it till 65 or 67, something like that. But anyway, I watched it a few years ago again because I remembered it suddenly, and it was good. It was a really good. I remember how scary I found the Ghost of Christmas Future, but it's a good adaptation. I really like it. I think maybe you can find it for free on YouTube. I'm not sure about that, but anyway, so that would be my favorite adaptation of A Christmas Carol. And then the next movies aren't in any particular order. I've sort of grouped them according to actors or actresses. So the book Sounder came out. It was written by William Armstrong, who, by the way, wrote a really good book called Study is Hard Work, about how to be a good student. It's a very valuable book. But anyway, he wrote Sounder, and I remember reading that book in grade school. And it just opened up this world of, what it must be like for the African American sharecroppers, and what a hard life they lived. And then the movie came out, and we didn't go see it in the theater, but it was on TV like the next year. And I remember watching it, and it was such a good movie. And just last year it was on again because pretty much the only TV I watch consistently is Turner Classic Movies. And it was on, and that scene where Cicely Tyson sees Paul Winfield, her husband, from afar coming back from he had been in prison or something, and he's walking up the road, and she spent years looking down that road waiting for him to come home. And when she sees him, it's just the best acting. I mean, if you don't sob when you see that scene, you're not human. It's just great piece of acting. So I really, so Sounder, that was a really good book. I remember reading it and how it really impressed me, and then seeing the movie and how well done the movie. And just about the same time, maybe a couple years later, the book, The Autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman, came out. And the author who wrote that, Ernest Gaines, just passed away, I think, the past couple of weeks. But I remember that book also was very formative for me. And again, it stars Cicely Tyson, and she ages through the story. And it was just a very well done movie. And I actually watched that again, I don't know how many years ago it was when my oldest kids, we were doing American history, and we sort of were tracing the theme of African American civil rights through American history, and we watched that movie as part of our studies. It's a good movie. They made really good well, no, it wasn't made for TV, I don't think. I think it came out in the theaters. So, but I only watched it on TV. Anyway, that's a really good movie too. So I like those two adaptations. They both had Cicely Tyson in them. Then I've got two adaptations that both have a young Roddy McDowall in them, if anyone even knows who he is. The first one was How Green Was My Valley. That was a book that I read a couple of times in my teens. It's about a family, a big family, living in a very poor Welsh village where the industry of the village is the coal mine that everyone works in, and it's about the labor strife and everything going on in the village. It's a very sad and poignant, beautiful book. And they made a good movie out of it. It starred, I think it's Walter Pidgeon as the clergyman, and Maureen O'Hara was the main character. It's told from the point of view of the young boy. I can't remember his name right now, but Roddy McDowall played him as a young boy. And a lot of it is a story of his sister. Who's played by Maureen O'Hara, very beautiful Maureen O'Hara. And I just love the whole atmosphere of the village. I don't know, it was a great movie. I've seen it many times since it's come on TV, and I always enjoy it. And I just remember, I haven't read the book in a really long time, but the book was really powerful, and I really enjoyed reading it and rereading it when I was young. And then in the same sort of style and era was Lassie Come Home, the book about, the collie that gets sold and keeps coming back to his boy. And then also starred Roddy McDowall. And again, it had there's something about the atmosphere of those movies that just always seems so cozy and warm to me. And so I really enjoy that movie too, and I've seen it many times when it comes on, and I always enjoy it. So, and I read the book out loud to my kids a few years ago too. It's a good story. Okay, and then after those two, here are some movies that came out later. So there was the movie The Railroad Children that was based on a book by Elizabeth Nesbit. So I had never really heard of Elizabeth Nesbit growing up, but I discovered her when I was homeschooling, and I would see her books recommended. And so I just happened to have read The Railroad Children aloud to my children when we noticed this movie had come out. The British TV made a movie, The Railroad Children. I remember the father was Michael Kitchen. Like, that was the first time I ever had heard of him. But it was very well done. It's a really good story about a family, and I guess it's right around World War I, maybe. And the father is unjustly accused of espionage, and he gets sent to prison. He's framed. And the family is, falls in status. They were kind of middle class or upper middle class, and then suddenly they go to live in this tiny town, this tiny railroad town, where people don't know them. And it's just how the children cope and befriend people, and how the townspeople and the people on the railroad help them. So it's a very heartwarming story, and they did a really good job adapting it. So I remember thinking, what a good movie they'd made out of the book. And the book itself is really good too. And I love all of E. Nesbit's books. They're wonderful. And then there were two Jane Austen movies that came out in 1995. It was a banner year. But Persuasion with, I think it starred Amanda Root is her name, maybe. And I never know how to say the guy who played Captain Wentworth was Sheeran. Hands. Oh, can't remember. But anyway, that was really well acted. It was beautifully, beautifully filmed. It was a little bit weird in that they had this sort of swelling Chopin music coming in and out, which wasn't quite with the time period. So that was a little bit off, but the acting was just absolutely brilliant, and the cinematography was just gorgeous. The texture of the clothing and their hair, the way it was done, everything was just so beautiful. So, and with a very kind of realistic, gritty beauty to it. So that, just one of my favorite movies is Persuasion, and of course it's one of my favorite books as well. And then Sense and Sensibility, that's a classic with Emma Thompson's version of it. Just beautifully done. Everyone acts beautifully in it. Just incredibly well done adaptation of an excellent book. So those two, and then I got two more. Well, the next one, the penultimate one, before I get to the one that's my absolute favorite adaptation, is The Grapes of Wrath. I love that book, and the movie with Henry Fonda is just so good. It's got a little bit of propaganda in it, I'll admit, because of the time period where they were really pushing for government programs to pull people out of the Depression. But other than that little bit, really, really well acted. Henry Fonda is just perfect in that movie. It's really, really moving. And I've watched it many times over the years, and I've read the book several times too. So I just love both the book and the movie. And then my number one favorite, where I love the book and I love the movie, and I absolutely love both of them, is To Kill a Mockingbird. To Kill a Mockingbird, I read that book many times growing up, like in my teens and 20s. And then since then, I've also read. I never read the sequel because I just knew it would ruin it. I heard it was really bad. I didn't even want to go near it because To Kill a Mockingbird to me is such a perfect novel. And the movie with Gregory Peck is just exquisite. It's just so pitch perfect. I just love that adaptation. Because it's really hard to have such a beloved book and then an equally beloved movie. But to me, they both are just spot on. So that's my list of the movies where I really love the book and I really love the adaptation, the movie adaptation. So that's it. I'll be talking to you later. I got to run now to pick up my little charge from preschool. So have a good day. Bye.